You crazy boy. Okay. Anyways, moving on to the rest of the books that I read in December. I've got Salt to the Sea by Ruta Sepetys. So, Salt to the Sea. This one was a historical fiction that was a little bit more up my alley than the last one. This one took place during World War II, and it follows 4 main characters. I listened to the audiobook, and with the audiobook you get 4 different narrators for the 4 main characters. At first I found this a little bit hard to follow, especially with the men. I didn't find that their voices were different enough at first, but over time you do get used to it, and it was very easy towards the end of the book to differentiate who was talking. I don't think that's something I would find as an issue if I had been physically reading the book, because all of the characters' names were quite different, so I think I'd kind of clue into who is talking in each chapter if I was reading the book a lot easier than on audiobook. But again, towards the end of the book, it really wasn't much of an issue. I really liked the variety in chapter length in this book. So some chapters were like a few words long, and some chapters were like many pages long. So I did really enjoy that variation. Just in case, I'm going to say spoiler alert here. I don't know if this is considered a spoiler because I think it's in the synopsis, but I don't know. So basically this follows the story of this kind of thrown together group of characters as they all work towards getting out of their current situation. And one of the only ways that they can see themselves getting out of their current situation is to get on a boat and basically kind of sail to freedom in a way. So they basically end up getting onto the Gustlav, I believe it's called, and unfortunately this is a ship that throughout history is known to be involved in the worst maritime sinking disaster ever. And so you get this very visceral feeling look into what's happening to these characters throughout their journey as they make their way to what they think will be kind of like their salvation. And then this horrible tragedy happens with the boat. If you're into World War II stories or just historical fictions concerning war in general, I would recommend this. It's a very, very well written book. I really enjoyed the characters. I am horrified by a lot of the things that happen in this book. But that is part of history, and I think it's important to revisit that, sometimes through fiction, nonfiction, whatever the case may be. And I ended up giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Moving on to something a little bit lighter. Basically, I was getting to that point in December where I was looking at my Goodreads reading challenge and wanting to read 52 books, and I was like, this is gonna be hard. And it was kind of like the reading fairies heard me and they saved me, because I was in a used bookstore with my dad one of the days in December, and I happened upon this book that I was so excited to find. And I picked it up for $2 at this used bookstore, and that is Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens by J.M. Barrie. This, I guess, could be considered kind of like a short story. It's about, I think it's like almost 60 pages long in this little tiny book format. And it's basically like a little bit of like an origin story for Peter Pan. I love Peter Pan. I read it when I was in my children's lit class, and I just absolutely fell in love with the original source material. Also, you know, the Disney movie and all of that was always one of my favorites growing up. I just love everything Peter Pan, basically, except for select retellings. This was great. This was a fast, short little read, and it brought me right back into the magic that is J.M. Barrie's writing. I absolutely adored it. I ended up giving it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think it didn't make the 5-star cut for me, just because, honestly, I wish that there was more. I felt like I could have gone on reading more and more and more, and there just wasn't any more, which I don't know if I should really be taking points off for that, but I was pretty passionate about it at the time. So I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. Sure, maybe it deserves a 5-star because I really did love it. But yeah, I highly do recommend Peter Pan in Kensington Gardens by Jamberry. So the next book that I read in December of 2019 was Through the Woods by Emily Carroll. This is a graphic novel that I managed to borrow on the online system that my library has, so I kind of consumed this one in like an ebook copy. Basically, this is supposed to be a graphic novel. I was trying to get as many graphic novels and short books in as I could. This is a graphic novel that is supposed to be comprised of kind of like creepy stories. They're kind of like weird and freaky and scary, creepy stories. Quite honestly, didn't do much for me. I did not really enjoy the kind of whimsical style of it. The writing, I mean. I didn't really enjoy that. I'm not really one for creepy books or horror books. It didn't really do anything for me. It didn't really even scare me. Like, I was looking at this book at like probably like 2 a.m. or something, and I just had no reaction to the creepiness of it. But I did end up giving it 3 out of 5 stars because I thought that the artwork was really, really great. I thought it was a really, really interesting style, and it was definitely fun to look at. And I'm pretty sure all of the stories had a limited color scheme as well, which was really interesting. So I did enjoy it from an art perspective, and that's why I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I did manage to finish Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. This was a book that I did its own vlog on, just because this is the first time that I've ever read Harry Potter, so I wanted to kind of do a little separate vlog for it. So if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts, definitely check out that video. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't think it was incredible. I didn't think it was amazing, but I did really enjoy quite a lot about it. I really enjoyed the characters. I really enjoyed the imagination and the world. For me, I think the writing style was a little bit underwhelming, but overall, it's kind of like a huge classic at this point. Definitely the story of Harry Potter was a staple in my childhood as I consumed the movies growing up, and I'm really, really glad that I did finally get to pick this up, and I look forward to picking up the second book in the series. I've got 2 more books on the list, the first one being another graphic novel, one that I actually think might be for kids. I'm not entirely sure of the audience. I'm pretty sure I consider it a children's graphic novel, and that's called The Only Child by, I don't know if it's Guojing or Zhuojing. I don't know how to pronounce the name. I'm very sorry to the author, and I don't know if the author is also the illustrator. I assume so, because this story was purely a picture book. There were no words, no dialogue, nothing like that. It was just purely a pictorial graphic novel, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was really beautiful. Basically, The Only Child follows a story of a little kid who leaves his home to go to grandma's house. I think that's like, he doesn't tell his parents, he just leaves a note and goes to find grandma's house on his own, and he basically gets lost, and he befriends this buck in the woods, and this buck and him go on these like magical, fantastic adventures, and the buck kind of protects him, and it's just a really, really sweet story. Really, really beautiful visuals. I believe it was all in black and white, like done in pencil drawings, and it was just really, really gorgeous. I really, really enjoyed it, and I ended up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. The last book that I read in 2019 was a book that I did on audiobook, and it was a book that I really enjoyed it in the beginning, but towards the end I was kind of over it. I feel like that's a really big thing for me. Maybe that's why I don't like long books, because I get over them really quickly. I don't know. But the last book that I read in 2019 was an audiobook, and that was Flame in the Mist by Renee Adia. This is basically an Asian-inspired fantasy, and I want to tell you guys all about it, but I don't remember that much. I don't really remember that much about this. It wasn't a very memorable book. I remember really enjoying the beginning when the characters were being set up. Basically, you've got this female lead who is a princess, and she has somebody make an attempt on her life, and she has to flee her kingdom. It's a little bit Mulan-ish, like she poses as a boy as she tries to figure out who it was that like put the hit out on her, and starts traveling around with the group of individuals that she believes put the hit out on her, so that she could learn more about like why they wanted her dead, kind of thing. It was really interesting in the beginning. I really liked the setup. I liked the characters. I thought it was really like a beautiful description being given of the characters and the cultures and all of this. But as it went on, it just got a little bit like typical YA feeling. It felt a lot like how the Lunar Chronicles started to feel for me, where I just lost interest in the characters and things became very like typical YA, like of course this person's gonna fall for that person, and of course it's gonna be like this isn't allowed, and that, I don't know. It seemed very typical to me towards the second half, so I did enjoy quite a lot of it, and I really enjoyed the Asian-inspired aspects of the book, but overall I don't think it's a series that I'm going to continue with, and I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So guys, I think this little guy needs to go out for a WALK. Can't say the word or else he'll start like freaking out, but I think I'm gonna go and take him. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have read any of the books that I've mentioned in this video, do let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on them are. Do we have similar opinions? Do we differ? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to like and subscribe for future videos just like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.